This is Salvia Waverly. Not a very common salvia or sage, but one of my favorites, and kind of a wild thing in some regards. You're going to get some close-ups of it, and this is the nicest one I've ever seen. So this is in Montecito, California, near Santa Barbara, and this photo is taken at the end of September, so right at the beginning of October, end of September, and you can see it. It's in its full glory. The salvias in general along coastal California are just a wonder to behold. They love this situation. They love Mediterranean kind of climate. It's mild. It never gets super hot, and yet it never gets super cold either. It's just such a moderate temperature range. And so the salvias do great here. I want you to look at the close-up here, the leaves and the different and the flowers. These flowers are really something. So they have some of the characteristic of a Mexican sage or a Salvia leucantha in that these are on elongated flower stalks, and the flowers are kind of pendulous or they hang down. And this rounded form is a bit of a surprise to me. These can be very gangly plants. I've photographed them over the last 10 or 15 years, and I've never seen one that looked quite this controlled and rounded. So one of the things I'd say about this in design is this plant you're looking at, by the way, is 5 to 6 feet tall and wide. So about 5 feet in diameter, plus or minus. And I've used it at my dad's place in Pacific Grove, California. His gardener seems to keep it at about 4 to 5 feet tall and 3 or 4 feet wide. So in terms of climate, these don't love the frost. I use it where I live, where it gets down in the 20s Fahrenheit, and they do survive that. They burn back in the winter from the cold, but they come back from that. So I'd say the low range for temperature on this is in the 20s Fahrenheit, and below that, I think it's pretty iffy. But if you have these in coastal areas like here, where it never freezes, these are year-round plants. They're going to be evergreen for you. This is kind of an evergreen perennial slash shrub. It does have a woody core, but it's primarily herbaceous material that you're looking at here. Hummingbirds love this plant. Deer leave it alone. My dad has a big deer problem and they do not touch his, so very reliable in deer areas. And I would call it low water. Once they're established, they don't need a whole lot of water, especially if you're in an area where the temperature is moderate. I would say they're going to improve if you give them some semi-regular water or lowish water if you're in a hotter area like I am, with temperatures in the 90s on a regular basis during the summer. So you're going to help replenish some of that. So the heaviest bloom on these is late summer, fall, like with many salvias, at least here in California. And if you're designing with this, expect that. In terms of uses, I just think this is kind of a specimen shrub slash perennial. I've never seen it kind of standing out here by its own the way this is done, but it's so showy it can kind of serve that purpose. So in design, I prefer to use it in a mixed border where it can be combined with some other things like Gara and maybe some of the other salvias such as Leucantha and Limelight. So I'll show you some nice companion shrubs to follow. So Salvia Waverly, not real common but worth seeking out. Should be available from any good garden center if you're in the California area. I'm not sure how well it's propagated in other areas, but love this plant. As you can see, it's quite a show and kind of a unique color. A lot of the salvias are in the red range or purple or blue range, and so having this whitish color is kind of unique and different. And full sun is where you're going to get the best blooms out of this. It can take part shade, it will bloom in part shade, but I'd prefer it in full sun. And again, spacing, I would give this thing 4 to 6 feet diameter and height. And that is Salvia Waverly. Wonderful perennial. Deer leave it alone. Hummingbirds love this thing. Enjoy.